manually getting in touch with all of these websites and sending requests to remove your information. After a few weeks, they send you a little report about all the websites they've removed your information from, and also on their website it sends you these little alerts about information they think might be related to you. So for example, I just went on it this morning and they literally had surfaced my beloved dead grandmother's name, and they were like, do you know this person? And I was like, I did know that person, rest in peace. So then I had to be like, yeah, and then go take care of it. I like Delete Me. I'm going to keep using it, and if you also want to use it, go to joindeleteme.com/AnyAustin and use promo code AnyAustin to get 20% off your consumer plan. That is joindeleteme.com/AnyAustin, promo code AnyAustin. The QR code. Shout out to those of you watching on TV. Shout out to those of you eating dinner. Anyway, what was I talking about? Our next location in Skyrim is basically just some rocks. But it's really so much more than that. These rocks are way up in the mountains behind the city of Markarth, and they can only be accessed by doing the Skyrim mountain climbing thing, where you frantically mash the jump button and turn back and forth to glitch your way up steep slopes. I love the frantically mashing jump button and turning back and forth in Skyrim. It's one of the few times that you're actually directly doing something with your body in a Bethesda game. Most Bethesda games feel kind of like your character is psychic. You know, there's no animation. You click A on an item and it just instantaneously disappears in your inventory. A lot of what your character does in Skyrim feels a little bit separated from what you're doing as the player holding the controller. And that's a huge part of the charm of Bethesda games. But this isn't the case with Skyrim mountain climbing. Skyrim mountain climbing is one of the few bits of what I would call actual gameplay in Skyrim, where you're actually pushing buttons in a specific fashion to try and make a specific physical thing happen.
Get anything.
And I think that's part of why it resonates so strongly.
It's the stress.
Weird. Anyway, this location, which we should actually be looking at night, by the way, nighttime. This is a spot on the western edge of the world, and it's a perfect example of what you'll find if you do enough Skyrim mountain climbing. Nothing. Everything up here is completely decorative. There's nothing to interact with. No flowers to collect, no people to see, no enemies to kill. Just a bunch of textures of grass and dirt. Obviously, it really feels like you're out in the middle of nowhere, pushed up against the edge of the map. Maybe for the first time on our journey so far. If you look down from the right place, you can actually see inside the city of Markarth, which technically you're not supposed to be able to do because it's only actually accessible by entering the loading screens from gates. Let's hop down and head to the next place. This next stop is called Deep Boat Crossing. And holy smokes, I love it. At first glance, it just looks like a nice bridge over a little stream, and that's also what it looks like at all of the other bridges, because that's what it is. But if you are walking across that bridge, you take a moment to stop and look towards the stream, but you probably didn't realize that you're looking at the edge of the map. That's right, this nondescript little stream is the edge of the map. You can hop off the bridge and walk upstream to the source, which is just coming out of this little rock, and then if you try hard enough, you can actually get on top of this rock and walk about 10 feet toward the invisible wall of the world. It's certainly not the most dramatic place we're going to look at today, but of all the places we've looked at so far, this might be my favorite. You know, it's one thing to have a big gate to the edge of the world, or an amazing waterfall, or a giant mountain, but to have something so unassuming that you don't even realize it's the edge of the world when you walk by it is awesome. It's like walking across, you know, like if you ever hear you walk across some bridge, and then later some guy comes up to you and says, you know, that's that's not it, but this also might be the westernmost point of the map, at least based on where the fast travel is. If you follow the path north of this bridge and continue to hug the boundary of the world, you'll reach this spot, Winter Wonderland. I call it that because when you look out into this area, the snow is so still, the clearing is so untouched and quiet. It reminds me of going out in fresh snow when I was a kid, where the cars would pull through people with eyes. Just to the west, Orm has looking out into one of the few clearings that gives you a good view of the area beyond the mountains. And if you didn't know that there was an invisible wall here, you might just assume you could walk out into this area. You can't. Something about that feeling of seeing a place that looks so approachable, but being unable to physically go there. It's begun. It feels like looking at like a text that you typed out, like it's so there, but it's so not actually there. Now, technically, you can use a console command to fly the camera out here and see what it might be like, but looking at it from afar definitely puts you further, we end up pushing past Pine Cross Tower themselves until we see another new type of barrier towards water. And I want to pause at the top here before we actually go down to look at because this is something really cool. We're way up here in the mountains, having finally just crested that thing overlooking the ocean. There are these little islands, bays, and trees all down below. And the detail of these objects is clearly much lower than something you might really miss from video games like Skyrim, because it kind of messes with your sense of perception. It somehow makes these things feel closer than they are. And this is that the new games really, I think, ascending high up poetic sky cliffside down into the plain old dirt paths and trees. It's very great. It's like when you fly over a place in an airplane, and you land in the airplane, and you're like, oh, it wasn't actually a magical miniature land and dancing toys after all. It's just a bunch of dirt down here, like everywhere else, which is in some way equally profound. Anyway, let's walk down in there and look at the next location. We're going to be calling this place the Untouched Shoreline, because that's basically what it feels like. I think this is the first time I've ever been to this part of the map. It's similar to the forest that we looked at. This place kind of just feels uncovered. It really does feel like scrambling down a cliffside only to find a beach area. The fact that you were the one to take the time to come down here makes it kind of special, even though it's lifting. Now, surprisingly close to the invisible boundary here as well, just over there on the other side of the shore. Places like this kind of make me realize how much traditional game reviews tend to miss the boat. Am I wrong that stumbling across a place like this is kind of the greatest miracle of playing a video game? So many places just doing it and feeling like you're seeing something new that you won't react to. But this is one of them. And nobody ever things like this. Things like
Girl, here,
despite the fact that these things make up
maybe that's
we spend more time talking about the story of the game. Like it,
help me! Drive me no more. Hey, look out! Get away.
Zip it! Introducing symbols.
Playing offline. No, I'm offline. I see. Me, I'm offline.
Partner?
Vast sea of boats, and right on its head. This is an ice field on the northwest side, way out there. While there are a couple of big obvious places to get on top of that here, the real thing we look for is a tiny piece of ice. This is the piece of ice furthest away from the another piece of ice just like a few feet back. This one is when you're standing on here, like so many great places in video games, it really does make you feel like Skyrim, or like describe it to a friend, like if you talk about Skyrim, you would emphasize things like the quantity of quests, or the combat, the dragons, or the ability
Over
to
here,
play
fella.
one. But in some ways, I've always felt
Howdy there, friend.
like this, standing on a distant device, doing nothing, looking up at the lights while you're deciding whether or not you can stop playing and go to bed. These are the both places Skyrim offer the same type of experience as what we just discussed. Ice fields, lonely water, open skies. There is one more place here looking at a big ice field. When you're standing on the shore near the city of Dawnstar, you might see it way out in the distance, this massive shelf of ice floating out beyond whatever. It looks significant, like the type of place you would expect to find a cave or a treasure. It's actually desolation.
Now. Slower!
Making your way up here, as you imagine, it's basically just snow. I did notice two great things hanging out here. Firstly, a great place to watch the day-night cycle and some sunset. Skyrim has an excellent skybox, and it's worth appreciating it from an uninstalled place like this. Second, find yourself here on a clear night and look straight down at your feet. You'll see something super neat. A sparkling pattern in the icy snow almost perfectly mimics the twinkle of the stars above. Now, I know it may seem dumb and unintentional because it is having moments where I notice things like this really creates a feeling of connection between me and this totally different world. Even talking about it right now, I can perfectly remember the feeling of being on that iceberg, even though I never was, like physically I wasn't.
Whoa now.
Video games. Coming around to the eastern edge of the map, we get away from the ocean and find a brand new style of debating and a barrier impassable path. It's just east of Refugees Rest. It is east of the city of Wincrown, and it's a simple stone path heading off into the distance that eventually gets so covered in snow as to become impassable. The barrier here is closer than you let it go, and it prevents you from walking even to the visible end of the road. In some ways, this is similar to those paths on the southern end of the map in that it implies a connection to a wider world. If you look at a map of the Elf, this particular path is east of unfortunately, there's no game in which that area of appearance the thing I really like about this map is that it's not just invisible. I mean, it is, but it's also covered in snow, which gives it this little sort of excuse to be impassable. And if you look at it from long enough, it starts to feel like any day now, you can just be patient with it. The snow might melt, and you might be able to head to a new city. And it feels like south of this point, you head back up into some mountains. A little bit of effort. Getting up to this level, that makes it getting up to the top of the like this forward on a thumbstick. Getting up here, climbing. It all really feels like
Come on, girl. One more time.
More. Maybe like day two. One of these sticks in their mind. The actual edge of the map is kind of here, and it's a shame because it means we can't technically get up the map. Not being able to go somewhere is really if you spend this clearing the mountains up here as well, you'll find that if you spend enough time on the ground in the eastern valleys of Skyrim, there are climbs.
Easy.
Or there's never anything up here, of course, as gameplay is concerned, but making your way up to one of these picturesque lonely peaks is really something that every Skyrim should, probably has, done, if you haven't, you should go give it a try. The furthest east that anyone can get in continental Skyrim. Next, it's going to be today's mystery box, Giant's Grove. Technically, this isn't a place that I really consider part of Skyrim. If you look on the map, you can clearly see that the icon is, indeed, the furthest east icon. But this location isn't really a part of the main area of Skyrim. You can only get here by a series of loading screens through a cave. It's not exactly a place that's connected physically to everywhere else that we've looked, which means it's also not up against the edge of the world in the same way. It's the same for a lot of the other separate locations in this game, especially including locations from the DLC like Fort Dawnguard or Castle Volkihar. Those places are technically further from the map than anywhere else we've looked, but they're also not actually on the map. The focus of this video isn't so much about what places in the Skyrim canon are the most remote. I'm mostly interested in what types of things we find
miss.
if we ran up against that.
You need to calm it down around here.
I just got one of those faces.
And none of those other locations would have been interesting in that context. Still, I know if I didn't mention them, that people would be wondering why, so this is just me explaining myself to you. Giant's Grove still does have a great vibe, that's not quite why we're here. If you walk south from the cave leading to Giant's Grove for a while, eventually you'll hit this stone path, and if you follow it for long enough, you'll go past Blackfriar Lodge and eventually down into this secluded area in the southeast corner of the map. All the way at the end of that path, our next stop is what I call the Autumnal Gate. This is another one of those wonderful gateways that we've seen before. Where the other ones we've seen were in lifeless, snowy wastelands, out in the woods, this one here sits out in a beautiful, temperate autumn forest. Yet somehow it feels even more secluded than the other one. To get here, like I said, you've got to follow this stone pathway and the gate itself is at the end of a long sort of valley in what ends up feeling like a dead end. But unlike a lot of the places today, this place both doesn't feel like you're getting close to the edge of the world, but it also
mister.
different breed.
Hello, sir.
This life,
paved, it's not way up
it
in some
ain't for the
desolate mountains,
faint-hearted.
way out in the woods. It's pretty close to
Here,
buildings
boy.
and caves and civilization. Everything about it feels more like the game. Then you get here and it's just an open gate that you can't get through. Just a little reminder that you're in a simulation. It feels like being, you know, that moment in a dream where you kind of realize that you're in a dream and you can either keep sleeping or you can force yourself to wake up. That's what I feel like when I come to this gate. The boundary itself is a few feet before the gate, meaning you can't get close enough to see through to the other side without a free cam, and I don't know exactly why, but this might be my favorite gate of them all. Something about it is really unassuming. We finally made it back around to the south edge of the map, right near where we began, and it's around here that we're going to make our final stop, where it all began. You may not realize it, but this final gate here is a hugely important place in your experience of Skyrim. And to show you, all I have to do is turn around and walk for a second. The first section of the path when you turn around and walk is desolate and snowy, pretty much no matter when you come, and there's not much to do up here, much like all the other locations around the edge of the map, and unlike the last place we were, it actually does kind of feel like you're getting close to somewhere kind of like a boundary when you get here. When the music is hitting just right, super snowy places like this in Skyrim really do make this game feel like the holidays. I know everyone has like a holiday thing, some piece of media that you like to consume around that time. And for me, I'm always unsure of what it is until I sit back down and play Skyrim. And I don't even necessarily just mean like cozy or nostalgic. I actually kind of mean like spiritually meaningful, almost religious-ish. A big part of that is just the music, the northern lights, the snow, the settings, the burning fires, the cozy inns, the lack of media, the melancholy loneliness of it all. Skyrim is still a video game. Man, it never stops surprising me. How when I'm not looking, they somehow sneak into my brain and take a seat right next to all of my biggest feelings. And all it's going to happen without me knowing it, which is a reason I think video games are super different instead of I'm always kind of aware of what's affecting you right where they are. Anyway.
Hello, ma'am.
How do you do?
Right? Thanks. Anyway, oh, here. Do you recognize this place? No? See this. Oh, hey. Finally, wait, that's right. If you follow the path from that gate that we were looking at the
Let
end
off
of the
that steam,
that
all right?
path leads
Next
directly
time,
to
gonna be
here.
over. Damn it, come on.
Okay, so when they say
Mister.
that they caught you here,
Hello there.
okay,
Never see that fella again.
maybe they meant Skyrim's work gate that we have on the map, which is a fun little detail. But maybe in some
Move
they
it!
actually meant as a
He is
I won't just take this like
I'm
a
done
fool.
with this.
Whoa, how about you calm the hell
Away
down?
right now. This isn't happening.
Enough to make you.
time in the aspects of life.
Okay.
Hey, stop!
Hey, come on. Let's just calm down and settle this like civilized people.
You should just get lost. I so much as hear you speaking.
That brute's trouble. Keep your distance.
No! Listen! I guess that means yes.
Help!
I just want you to
Where were you going?
Damn it all to hell!
I'm getting sick of asking. I ain't gonna ask again.
Stop! Just...
I feel like we have an understanding.
I need a damn break.
Let me get through. Where's the damn law? Stop! Of course! No, you can't!
Was that simple enough for you?
Stop, please!
I think we can agree that's a yes.
You stay the hell back!
He's got... What are you...
Down from there! Let's go.
Had about enough of you.
What?
Hey,
Please, just mind.
are you kidding me? What else you got? need more. Come on. Easy now.
What the heck just happened?
Good girl. Let's go.
What was that?
Have you ever wondered what it might be like to live an average life in the land of Skyrim from the hit 2011 video game? Like, if you had to work at a Skyrim job, live in a Skyrim house, and eat Skyrim food, what would that look like? I wanted to figure that out, so I came up with a little experiment. I'm going to live for 3 straight weeks in Skyrim. I mean, I'm going to pick some average. I'm going to pick the most average house. Go back there every single night's sleep. I'm even going to purchase real-life foods that match what I'd actually have available to me in Skyrim, so that I have average Skyrim nutrients flowing through my body. And I'm not just going to do this casually. In order to get completely detached from my reality and completely locked into Skyrim, I'm going to black out every window in my house, cover up every clock, and do the entire thing in one sitting, which, because Skyrim's day-night cycle is 72 minutes long, it's going to take more than 24 straight hours. Now, before we can just dive into the challenge, we have to figure out the 2 main aspects of an average life in Skyrim, where we're going to live and where we're going to work. For work, there were a few possibilities I considered, but like a job, or I could be a bartender at a tavern. But after reading a little bit about Skyrim, the type of Skyrim is set in a place that's roughly based on the Viking Age of Scandinavia, 1,000 years ago. At that time, it was definitively but technically it wasn't really in the way that we thought it was the like the structure was different. Today, that they
Why is it so loud?
food and sold it at the market. It was the backbone.
Shut up, shut up, shut up.
Team Farm 6 from Iron 16 Seeds, the line. The one I settled on was a little place called Battle on South Side. I picked it partially because it's in a recognizable area, but also because it has a great variety of things to do. Crop harvesting, animal husbandry, and it's also fairly close to a source of fresh water, which is important to me because it's literally drinking water for real life. So in terms of where will I live, reality is like zero. Probably just be given some kind of crappy bed and in this case, the farmhouse is pretty small, but it does have just enough sleeping bag in the corner that there's also only one live here.
Your money, mister.
That's wonderful. In real life, you'd be living off of people. I know, Gwendolyn.
What's the matter with you?
They Gwendolyn.
Cut these ropes off of me!
Thank you, mister. Here, have this for my gratitude.
Please.
Appreciate it, mister. You be careful now.
Flick it, flip it, don't stick it.
Sounds of these weed sickness. So much for the future.
Curiosity is an energy that we as human beings with all times. Even in the state of guilt. And so anywhere you go,
You okay, girl? Let's go.
this is a place where I can help. Either where it is interesting, he's with us. So whenever we're comfortable, we're convinced this is the things we're going to look at. So those spiritual doors we're going to open. We might as well start. That's what we socialize.
What's your damn name?
What happened? Did you know what happened? I was down.
Structure this challenge in 3 segments. Challenge. Life. Segment.
This is how you die if you
You
don't back
down.
down.
Go on.
First we
Try
try.
it.
You're done. Leave me alone, goddammit. I'm gonna get the law.
Hold it. Don't get it. Please. Keeping silent already. I like that.
God's sakes. I'm getting the law. Look at the law over here. I'll leave you.
Never believed it. No, this can't be it.
There. You got this, girl.
Where's the law? That's the best.
Easy now.
The reason for this is that the time scale of Skyrim is 20 times faster than the time scale of real life. So in order to make sure that we match our real life hunger cycles to the hunger cycles of our Skyrim peasant character, we have to adjust the portions of food so we can eat equally as often as our character would without stuffing ourselves to the point of exploding. This also means that I will be eating plain vegetable stew roughly every 20 minutes for the next 24 hours. So we'll deal with the consequences of that later. After finishing breakfast, we headed out the door for our first day of working the land, and the first thing that struck me was just how nice of a view it was. The tallest mountain in Skyrim was right in your field of view. There was a beautiful river right across the road. There's a wide open sky. Skyrim is just a beautiful view. It felt like it was going to be a great place to be a peasant. But a lollygag. I had to figure out what we were going to do for work every day, so I walked over to our only co-worker, Gwendolyn, and tried to get a sense of what I should be doing. Oh, ma'am, how are you? And she was looking right at me. I feel like that look is telling me I should be doing something else. I'm going to do a lap. How about that? I'll do a lap and sort of get the lay of the land. So one of our missions was actually to stand here and just help fill the earth for these leaks while our boss stares at us menacingly, but I decided to do a lap around the whole farm first and get a sense of what other options we had as well. And there were not as many as I thought there might be. We had some chickens over here to the north. There was a cow that we could hang out with a little pen down here. There are leeks and gourds growing up here, as well as wheat in its own area next to that. But the only actual gameplay activity on the farm is here with the wood cutting log, which we will use to gather firewood for the wintertime. But aside from that, our world here is pretty small. Which means our days are just going to be a lot of walking around, pretending to tend on video games. We're going to be just punching for the time. After a few hours of working, to my surprise, another worker showed up that turned out to be Gwendolyn's sister, and I immediately started talking to them like they were real human beings. Okay, hey, you work here too, huh? I'm Austin. Oh,
No need to be carrying that around here.
Sorry, yeah, you guys are working at the phone line. It turned out that this lady would be showing up every single day about 4 hours later than Gwendolyn and I, and her and Gwendolyn would basically take turns working on this half of leaks on the south side of the farm, which basically meant it would be my job to do everything. Which was fine with me. You know, the more activities I could use to pass the time, the better, because I'm literally not going to this farm. After what felt like an eternity of walking back and forth, talking to Gwendolyn and her sister, and chopping wood for the wintertime, the sun finally started to set on day one, which was my signal that my first workday was finished. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do after.
Everything's well with
Okay.
you.
See, the film critics are calling a near perfect 20. Are you coming? And among the best zones of the year.
Useless.
So for now, I headed into the next venue. Yeah, I felt like I was getting a leg.
Ma'am. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Mister. Partner.
Finished my
Gentlemen.
dinner.
Fine day for it, miss. going on in here?
Our workdays mostly consisted of pacing back and forth between we'd occasionally chop wood, talk to the animals, and drink water from the stream, which helped break up the monotony a bit. But by the afternoon of day 3, I already really feeling the day was starting to go. I feel like this is day 7 of the time. All of which fancy. Remember that I hadn't seen the
People say the Mayor's Gala of '99 was the best year ever.
my body really wasn't sure how long. All I knew at the time is that it felt like the day was a real slog and it was not getting any easier. Now, in some ways, this is probably just how it was to be on the Beagle birthday. But one thing I actually learned in my research for this video was that aside from the actual hard hunting season, which was brutal, working the land on a typical day back then often included lots of moments of chatting with others, multiple breaks for meals, and
I only stock the best in my shop. Buy from me, and you'll never be disappointed.
you'd be doing things like planting, watering, fixing fences, milking cows, etc.
People around here come in just for those.
This isn't to say that it's kind of work life. There are lots of benefits in life, even if you forget about them when you're in your second year or stayed alone in your office. But there were also benefits about the life. It's usually every day.
That is a local favorite.
Sometimes I would walk down to the stream to drink water, but typically I would be drinking ale, basically from my favorite because it was a fun way that peasants.
There are a few colors you can go with for this one.
Now, the ale that they would have been drinking back then was pretty low in alcohol, lower than the average beer. So in order to simulate that, I got the lowest alcohol beer I could find, which was about 4%, and then mixed it with about 50% sugar to make a nice watery 2% ABV drink. So that it was lukewarm, just like
Calm down, don't doubt yourself. That looks excellent on you.
Now, as the first few days wrapped up, I definitely felt like I was setting things, even though I was extremely tired. One day after work, Gwendolyn came in the house.
I really think it's perfect for you.
Looking for beer. And passed out on a sleeping bag on the pillow rather than in her normal bed. The first time she did that, thought about waking up.
Oh, shirts are reliable and comfortable, and they look great to boot.
Plus, we were slowly becoming friends, whether I knew it or not.
People around here come in just for those.
Which was surprising because if my math is right, it had only been about 4 hours since the challenge began, but I didn't really know that.
That is a local favorite.
A little less 4 hours, but possibly as many as, I think we could potentially 7 or 8, I don't even know. Now, at first, I chalked it up to just being
That will really pull an outfit together.
the beast, but solitary confinement really messes with your brain. But when I stood up to go check the times recording in between days, I glanced at my Twitch chat for a second and I saw something interesting. People were telling me that I needed to check the time scale in the game because they thought something was wrong. So I pulled up the Skyrim.
People around here come in just for those.
Yeah, so that was right. Don't take the advice the person who said to do the show.
No problem at all. If you change your mind, it'll be here waiting for you.
It's supposed to be 20, I thought. It is supposed to be 20, but somehow, maybe because of some of the mods I tried to install for the challenge, the time scale got changed to 10, which means that the time in-game isn't flowing as fast as it was supposed to. Now, on one hand, this explained why I felt the first few days were taking an incredibly long time, but on the other hand, I had just added several unnecessary hours to the challenge, which meant that by the end of it, I was going to be in even rougher mental shape than I had planned for.
That is a local favorite.
Adjusting the time scale to run a little bit fast for the rest of the challenge, but that just didn't feel right, so I set it back to its normal 70.
All right then, but if there was anything in there that caught your eye, it'll be right here waiting for you.
This things started to get of course, 99% of our time was still being spent crouching propping forward, listening to Gwendolyn's sister complain about the floor.
People around here come in just for those.
Towards the end of day 4, something amazing happened. Supposed to be some kind of beer. Whoa. A nobleman. A nobleman with his escort on his way to the castle. A nobleman came down the road. It was the first interesting thing that had occurred in the world all day long. This was amazing for a few reasons. Number one, it broke up the monotony by giving us something to look at. Big win. Number two, because of how unbelievably gorgeous it was.
What color speaks to you?
Gave me a feeling of wow, like I was a real peasant seeing royalty and not just some YouTuber playing Skyrim. But the coolest thing that happened when this nobleman showed up is that he was actually carrying a letter for us. The letter said, quote, I was able to track you down because all of your personal information is available for anyone to read on the internet. If you want to prevent this in the future, you should use Delete Me. Really weird. Welcome to the sponsorship. Okay, 30 seconds.
Apparently, this new century is bringing all kinds of changes. Although you couldn't tell from looking around here.
Different foreign websites like government paperwork databases and stuff like that. But nowadays, there is a problem. Because in the year of our Lord,
That's beautiful.
there are these people called data brokers. And these data brokers take the time to scrape all of those random websites for your information. Your name, your birthday, your phone numbers, addresses, sometimes even your family members. And then they package all of that information together into a little profile that they put on a people search site. You know what they do with that little profile? They sell it to literally anybody. This, as you can imagine, is a problem. I can think of a whole bunch of ways that this type of access could be misused, causing you anything from mild annoyances to pretty huge problems like identity theft.
Once you try that one, you'll know for sure.
Happens often, but it could happen. Delete Me is a service that takes care of this problem by both automatically and manually going to all of those websites and doing whatever needs to be done to get that information taken down. They use their own tech to do this. They don't outsource to third parties, and they have real human privacy advisors that are available to help you with customer requests when you need it. Sign up for it, put all of your information in, and then month after month after month, they continuously monitor and attack any instance of your data that they find.
That is a local favorite.
You to spend for your information being out there. So I'm happy with it, and if you're concerned about stuff like this, you will be too. Of course, I have a 20% discount.
I have plenty more great items.
Typing in promo code Annie Austin.
Now, let me see.
Again, that is joindeleteme.com/Annie Austin, promo code Annie Austin. Anyway, let's go back to talking about this nobleman in Skyrim. Like I said, the thing that really struck me.
A new hat can change your life, and all of mine will change it for the better.
A lot of social and political nuances of the setting kind of go in one ear and out the other. You're basically meeting Obama-level politicians within 3 weeks of being on death row with very little fanfare behind it. Seems the back, of course, organized back in I was borderline.
Hello, store.
Your hat says a lot about you. Make sure it says the right thing. We have styles for all immediately anything you choose. Now, what is your preferred color for this?
But in a funny meta way.
What color speaks to you? Let me know what I can do to help you leave here feeling good and looking great.
Boredom doing the same things over and over again with the occasional excitement of bandit attack. River did get in a nice habit of actually saying now we gotta go help people customize the same food.
I stand behind everything I sell in this place.
Look out!
What am I?
What's gotten into you? This is real stupid of you.
I'm gonna leave you cold.
I can get to a suitable place.